Breaking news, Ambassador Yavonawitch testifies at the impeachment hearing. It's important to point out this witness's profile. Short, androgynous hair like Rachel Madcow, red undertones like the Sith. She's obviously an element of the dark side with strong links to the Democrat Party. And of course, the persecution, led by Adam Schiff, is really a notorious figure, a representative of West Hollywood. People have seen what that district's all about. Pictured here with Ed Buck. Whatever happened to Ed Buck, I think people have seen the stories for themselves. They've seen the WikiLeaks. They've heard of the Standard Hotel. Again, this isn't a prosecution. This is a persecution. And even though the evidence is compelling, this really is infantile compared to what we're seeing from the Democrat Party. And I think it's important to reiterate that these people on the left have no plan for America other than to murder and rape children, to sexualize children, and to advance the agenda of the devil itself. But we're going to be covering the news out there today. It's been a while since we've covered the various news articles that have been coming through our news desk. And so we'll take a few minutes to look at that. Of course, these are the characters that are going to be showing up at the impeachment hearings. This is a very chilling video of a kidnapping in L.A. Now, the LAPD says that they couldn't find any evidence of the kidnapping, yet this was caught on footage. And so let's see what we can... You can see the footage on our Twitter feed if you'd like. But, you know, these people aren't running after the car. You don't see them calling 911 or anything like that immediately. And these people have just gotten away. Of course, many young people are kidnapped in America, sold into the sex trade. And, of course, this is being done under the protection of the Democrat system, which is bent on raping and murdering children as well as inconvenient witnesses. ABC's Amy Robach needs to release the Epstein report, according to Juanita Broderick, to help with Bill Clinton's victims. Undoubtedly, many victims to be surfaced here. Epstein was whacked, and the reasons are pretty clear. And we're learning that Prince Andrew has just given an interview, which is going to air this weekend on the BBC exclusively on the Epstein case. That should be some shocking video, so we'll be looking for that. Here's some footage of what looks like a criminal jumping from the second floor while still handcuffed to a radiator. This was a beautiful escape, to say the least. Venezuela turning to death squads after the failed U.S. coup, and we're getting lots of nefarious reports on that as well. DHS confirms no new border construction yet. 78 miles of replacement wall has been built in 3 years. And while that isn't negligible, it certainly isn't what was promised, and empty promises are what politicians thrive on. And of course, this administration is rolling out the 5G as well as trying to go after whistleblowers, which is a very troubling situation, as well as obstruct whatever sham investigation they can. I think if they had nothing to hide, they would provide that information. But look, we're not taking sides when it comes to skull and bones versus skull and bones when it comes to these politicians on television, because none of them are on your side, ladies and gentlemen. So people might be thinking, well, if you're not for Trump, then you might be for the Democrats. These people are all in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies. And what they did to Assange is pretty unforgivable, regardless of, the case here. We're not going to retry the Pentagon Papers and things of that nature. But obviously, journalists have a right to report on the news and express themselves as they see fit. Again, the case is a little more complicated than that, but we'll continue on. Massive antitrust suit against Google is about to explode here. We'll see how far it actually gets, if it turns into another Microsoft type of situation, or if it will fade away under the pressure of lobbyists and the like. What else we got in the news? Strange moment during the White House meeting when Erdogan pulls out the iPad and starts playing propaganda. For those in attendance, you can check out the information on our Twitter. People older than 110 have a unique immune system, according to a new scientific report. And it's interesting because, what they've discovered is that the immune system can thwart cancers, can thwart all sorts of other diseases if it's given the opportunity, which has become more and more difficult with the current urban environment. And one thing that we've seen quite clearly in white papers is that these death towers, these cell towers, in fact, suppress the immune system and promote disease. And so you're not necessarily going to get the brain cancer, the leukemia that most people get when they're exposed to these things, but you may come down with something else, and it looks natural, it looks unrelated. And that really is the point of this eugenics program, to make it look innocent, if you will. The judge in the baby body parts lawsuit orders the jury to vote guilty. Jury nullification by judge in this civil suit. Of course, it's pretty disgusting when investigators, journalists actually expose what looks like genocide, and they come after the whistleblower. Not just in the Assange case, but in this case, many other cases as well. And, that's the country we live in now. Home of the slave, ladies and gentlemen, to say the least. Researcher who lost her job over transphobic comments to argue her case. And this is a real interesting article. Men cannot change into women biologically. She wrote that on her Twitter, and she got fired from her job. And her coworkers said that they felt uncomfortable with that statement. And if you want to know why, the country has turned into this hellhole that we find ourselves in, is because we've allowed the dark side to take over. We've allowed them to say that that religion is taboo. And yet these people are practicing their religion. Check this article out. Witchcraft child abuse cases are up by a third. 2,000 children in the UK are subject to witchcraft child abuse. And we're talking about ritualistic sexual abuse. This is up, well documented, and the like. And so you're not allowed to preach your religion, but they can preach their religion. And that's really, at the core of what's destroying this country, ladies and gentlemen. And, to be quite honest with you, we should be prosecuting people for crimes against the Bible out there, whether it be adultery, whether it would be homosexuality. Imagine all the people that would end up in prison for immoral acts. It would be quite astonishing, but the country would be a better place. Deport the libtards, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, this administration really hasn't done anything to stop the propagation of evil in our public schools, which is just, devouring our future generations. And that is probably the biggest crime that's being conducted right now, is the indoctrination and sexualization of children in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, couple murdered homeless woman so that they could steal her benefits. What else we got in the news? Drug factories now shrunk down to the size of a suitcase, and sometimes the size of a 2-liter bottle. We're getting word of new Turkish genocide, war crimes out there in Syria. U.S. drones capture footage of Turkish forces engaged in shocking behavior. Jeffrey Epstein accuser Maria Farmer says that Ghislaine Maxwell held her against her will and told her that there are many ways to die. This girl is a central figure, a pimp in this Epstein child sex trafficking ring, and she hasn't been raided. She hasn't been picked up. They found her in Brazil with the Jean-Luc Brunel, the French pimp that was trafficking 12-year-old children, 13-year-old children from Paris into New York, into the hands of the elite. And reports are of thousands of children. These people should be arrested. These people should be raided. But there is no justice in America. Facebook sued for censoring posts. Seems like a law student has taken matters into their own hands and finally levied a lawsuit with potential against this criminal organization known as Fakebook. Be sure to check out this Twitter feed. Is Fakebook watching you? Of course they are. Your cell phones not only track you, listen to you, they irradiate you. And people that carry a cell phone are dumb as shit out there. And I don't care what you say. You don't want to miss a call, et cetera, et cetera. There's really no excuse. And when you look at how dumb the sheeple are out there, whether they're conservative or Democrats, to be quite honest with you, it really just shows you that, people are going to get what they deserve. And complacency kills, ladies and gentlemen. And you can try and, save your community, sign up for time at your city council, perhaps make yourself a safe haven in your town. That's fluoride free, that's 5G free, but chances are, you're going to get assimilated just like everybody else. U.S. industrial production plunges most since March 2009, and this seems to be another grave indicator. Of course, this article is really interesting. Robots are already stealing your jobs, massively so, and it's only going to get worse. And as the robots take over, as automation takes over, there's going to be no stopping the unemployment. And while they say the economy is getting better, surveys say that 7 out of 10 people are in financial difficulties in this country, as well as many other indicators that say that the success really isn't being felt by most people out there. They say median income has gone up, but it's really only the richest people out there that have benefited, and it brings the average up, but that doesn't mean that people are better off. Now, this is some pretty shocking footage from this NFL match. You can see that things were just getting out of hand, and we just kind of want to do a little sports play-by-play here. As you can see, the guy comes in for the tackle. Two guys come in for the sack, and this guy just keeps going. I mean, you got rid of the football. I mean, what's this guy's fucking problem over here? Is he raging on the roids, or is it just the hemorrhoids out there? And there must be a backstory here. Like the way that he was tackled. But just an ugly scene, and it looks like that's making the news, to say the least. I think that's probably it for this broadcast. We'll keep it there for this one. We'll be back later on. Check out our video archives on STFN Reloaded, as well as the ScrewTube page. But the window on free speech has basically closed out there. Everybody's now left to their own devices, and we recommend that people focus on their communities, save your community, organize in your community, and stop the 5G, stop the fluoride, build a network. And as far as these towers are concerned, they got to come down one way or another, ladies and gentlemen. And some people are planning to target practice on these death towers, and some people are planning to go to city council. We'll just have to see what ends up working out for people the best. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.